What up? It's me back again, Wall Street, ready to talk some hoops, talk about putting the ball in the basket. You feel me? It's cold, so cold in New York right now. I am freezing. I hope if you're in Florida or California or Texas or wherever it's warm, hope you're counting your blessings because this is terrible. It's terrible. It's 12 degrees today. 12. And that's with the wind chill, though. I think without the wind chill, it's like 18, 19 degrees. But this is not pretty. This is not pretty. So I'm really pulling out all the stops right now for you guys. It's cold as shit in here, but I'm keeping it going. My apartment cold as hell, but I do it for the love of the game. So without further ado, I want to get into today's topic. Stuttering. It's so damn cold in here. I want to talk about the NBA draft, the 2025 NBA draft, because this has been touted as one of the most talented classes we've seen in quite some time. Obviously headlined by Cooper Flagg, who's at Duke, and then right behind him we have the combo pair at Rutgers, Dylan Harper, son of very, very well-known NBA player Ron Harper, who played with Michael Jordan, has won a handful of NBA championships. And then Ace Bailey, who is a 6'10", versatile, playmaking guard, forward, whatever you want to call him. He can really do it all. One of the best shot creators I've seen in college basketball in a long time. So what I want to talk about is who is going to go number 2, right? Because Cooper Flagg is probably going to go number 1. I see very little change in that happening. Unless Cooper really has some horrible games and, Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper really go off for, the remainder of the college season and, let's say they win a national championship. That's really the only way I see things truly changing. But even if that's the case, I see the combination of these 3 guys remaining in that top 3 of the draft. It just depends on who's going to go where, right? So I would say Cooper Flagg is the best chance to go number 1 right now. And unless something drastic changes, he's going to stay there. The thing that I'm wondering is between the 2 of them, both playing at Rutgers, sharing the court together, who's going number 2, right? So right now, the Tankathon website, which is where you can simulate the draft lottery and all that stuff. They also do a mock draft. It's a fun website, especially if you're a fan of a bad team like me. You're on there a lot. So right now, their mock draft has Cooper Flagg going number 1 overall to the Washington Wizards. Pray to the Lord that happens. That would just be great. Number 2 overall, they have Dylan Harper going to the New Orleans Pelicans. They've had a terrible season, so that would be a very interesting mix, seeing Dylan Harper play with Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum. And then number 3 to the Toronto Raptors, they have Ace Bailey from Rutgers. So behind them, at number 4, we have Igor Demin, who's a shooting guard at BYU. Kind of plays point guard. He's like 6'9", tall, lanky guard, has a lot of skills, very versatile. And then VJ Edgecombe at number 5 to the Utah Jazz, who a lot of people have been talking about since high school. So it's going to be a really good draft class. I'm super excited for this draft. But I think the main thing that's going to, kind of come down the wire is someone going to pick, Dylan Harper over Ace Bailey at that number 2 spot. Because they're different players. They are different players, but they're both extremely talented. And I've been trying to think of player comps for both of them. So I was watching a video earlier today with Dylan Harper. It's where he was touring around, the camera crew around the Rutgers facility, which was actually very interesting. I didn't really know Rutgers really put that much money into their basketball program, but they have an amazing facility. But so Dylan Harper even mentioned that one of his favorite players in the league right now is Cade Cunningham. So Dylan Harper is like 6'6", 6'7", combo guard, can run the point, but is more of a scoring guard as opposed to a passing guard. But being a scoring guard at that stature, just having any sort of passing ability in the NBA, you're going to get a ton of assists. Like, just take a look at LaMelo Ball, right? It's a similar situation. Take a look at Cade Cunningham. So, but with that comparison in mind of, Dylan Harper compared to Cade Cunningham, I do see a lot of similarities. And I think if that's a player that he can really, kind of mold his game into, he's going to be great. He's going to be super worthy of that number 2 overall pick. He's even worthy of a number 1 overall pick. It's just the talent in this class is very top heavy. So again, though, the NBA really puts a lot of emphasis on potential and age, right? And both these guys, Dylan Harper and Ace, they're both 18 years old right now. They'll probably turn 19 before the beginning of next NBA season. But they're freshmen, one and done type of products, right? They're not going to be 23 years old when they get drafted. So Ace Bailey, on the other hand, right? I haven't seen a ton of player comps for him, but some of them are fairly lofty, but I see why people are doing it, right? So one that I've heard, which I actually think is not that off base, obviously there's just, there's a lot of, There's a lot of polishing that needs to be done in his game to really match this type of player's, level of play. But Ace Bailey, I've heard his name be tossed around with Kevin Durant as his NBA player comp, right? They match the body type, both super tall, lanky guards, basically shooting guards. And, right now he's averaging 17.6 points per game, 7.6 rebounds, about a steal a game, a block per game, shooting 45%, 62% from the free throw line, and then 33% from 3. So, but if you watch one of his games, just the level of shot creation and the ball handling ability for someone that's this tall is just, you don't see it a lot. And if that skill can really be refined and, his shooting gets sharper, he's going to be a problem in the NBA, right? So for me, Dylan Harper seems like he's a better player today, right? So I just told you Ace Bailey stats. Dylan Harper's averaging 23.3 points per game, leading the team, 4.8 rebounds, 4.2 assists, and 1.1 steals per game, 0.4 blocks per game, and he's averaging less turnovers than Ace Bailey. Dylan is averaging 2.3, Ace is averaging 2.6. Another minute stat here is that Dylan has played all 12 of their games this season. Ace has missed 2 of them. And I don't think that says a lot about their ability, but it's just to give you guys the full picture. Dylan's also shooting 52% from the field, 75% from the line, and 34.4% from three-point range. So both of these guys are going to need to work on their shooting when they get to the league, right? Because everybody's a shooter in high school, everybody's a shooter in college, and then you get to the league and it's like, okay, you really got to work on your shot to be an NBA level shooter, right? So that's something that both of them got to work on. But Dylan Harper is a better player today, right? And they're both lengthy for the positions they play, right? Like, they're both listed as guards. So that means Ace is a shooting guard because he's not playing point guard, and Dylan's also a point guard, right? Or Dylan is a point guard. But you can play the combo, right? You can play shooting guard too. So what it comes down to for me is, what does a team value more, right? Because you can't teach 6'10", right? And Ace Bailey's got a heck of a wingspan. Dude is just like super lengthy, and it's what do you want, right? Like, do you see Ace Bailey turning into like another version of Kevin Durant, right? Do you see him doing that? Do you see Ace Bailey being a 25 to 30 plus points per game scorer for multiple seasons in the league, right? And I think he has great offensive potential. I don't know if it's to that level. It's really hard to say right now, but regardless, he gets picked 2 or 3. I think he's going to have a great NBA career. I think he's going to be an all-star. It just has to work out. He has to be on the right team. He has to be kind of instilled in the NBA the right way. That's what's going to matter. Dylan Harper, I think, to me right now, is the safer pick at number 2 because he comes from an NBA background, right? His dad won 5 championships with Michael Jordan, like he's the stories that this kid must have heard growing up must be insane, right? Like, your dad played with Michael Jordan. That's wild. So he's definitely got a good basketball head on his shoulders. Has great resources. I mean, his older brother also went to Rutgers. has played in the NBA. He's kind of bounced back and forth between, the NBA and the G League. I think he's currently in the G League right now, Ron Harper Jr. But he's got plenty of NBA resources that he's had before he's even going to step foot on an NBA court, right? So from that perspective, I think he's the safer pick at number 2. But there's a high likelihood that Ace Bailey, when he gets into the league, 4 years down the road, is better than Dylan Harper and Cooper Flag, right? Like, I think Ace Bailey has an incredible amount of potential, and the length matched with the skill set, just that versatility is what NBA teams want and drool over, right? Like, look at Victor Wembanyama, right? Like, he's 7'3", 7'4", and he's bringing the ball up half the time, right? Shooting threes, doing everything. That is the future of the league. It's not these post back down centers that are big and burly and can't step out past 10 feet. It's just not what the league is anymore, right? Like, people now have to figure out, how are we going to guard Victor Wembanyama, and how are we going to have someone on our team that can do the same thing that he does, right? I mean, they're not all going to be 7'3", but you could probably find someone who's 6'11", 7 feet tall, that can, shoot threes, put the ball on the floor a little bit, pass the ball, play like a guard. And that's really what it is. So if you're thinking that route, then, maybe Ace Bailey's your guy. I mean, I think it's still a good thing to take Dylan Harper if you're, any team that's in the lottery, because he's still, point guards typically in the past have not been 6'6", 6'7", right? Like, I grew up with Chris Paul being one of the premier point guards in the league, Dwayne Wade being the premier shooting guard. He was 6'3", 6'4", right? Chris Paul, 6 foot, so it's a different league now. But these lengthier, taller point guards, mainly because of what LeBron James has done throughout his career, being the 6'8", 6'9" point guard, basically, that's become a theme in the league, right? So you have guys like Cade Cunningham, LaMelo Ball. They had Jeremy Sohan on the Spurs playing point guard for a while. He's not really doing that anymore because now they have Stephon Castle. But, Stephon Castle's a big guard too. He's 6'5". So it's just the way the league's moving, right? So I could rationalize either of these guys going 1 through 3. If you wanted to pick Dylan Harper first, I wouldn't blame you. If you wanted to pick Ace Bailey first overall, I wouldn't blame you. And if you wanted to interchange either of those guys for the number 2 overall pick too, I wouldn't blame you either. It reminds me of the Paolo Banchero draft, right? Where we didn't really know who was going to go number 1 that whole time. And then eventually, Paolo went. I don't even think he worked out for Orlando. I think he might have talked to them or something. I don't even think he knew. He had no clue. I don't think he worked out for Orlando. None of that, right? But it was interesting because we didn't really know who was going to go first overall, right? And I feel like now we have more clarity on who's going to go first overall. But it was you had Paolo go first in that draft. Then it was Chet Holmgren. Then Jabari Smith Jr. Right? So bunch of versatile players, honestly. Like, Paolo, super versatile. Chet Holmgren, super versatile as well. Jabari Smith Jr. plays a lot like a guard. He's a face-up power forward, 6'10", 6'11". So the player types in this draft are a little bit different, but it's still, versatility is the theme, and that whole top 5 is going to be filled with versatile players that can handle the ball, put the ball on the floor, shoot the ball. I don't know if any of them are necessarily, amazing at one specific skill yet. They all seem like they're scorers, and just have crazy athleticism. But that's what NBA teams want, because you can mold them into whatever you want them. So I'd love to know what you guys think, though. Do you think, Ace Bailey at number 2 makes more sense than Dylan Harper? Do you think it depends on the team? I want to know what you guys think. I'm super into the draft this year. I've been diving in earlier than previous years, just because the Wizards, they've typically been in the middle of the lottery, picks 8 through 11, right? But now we're at the top, right? We're at the top of the draft. We're winning something, right? We're leaving with something, as Denzel Washington said. So I've been following it a lot. Super excited for the draft this year. It's going to be a big moment for me as a Wizards fan, adding one of these guys, hopefully, to our team. I'm really hoping for a top 3 pick. That would just make me super happy. So But let me know what you guys think. Leave some comments down below. Let me know what you've been thinking about this upcoming, rookie class and the 2025 NBA draft. And as always, if you liked the video, I would greatly appreciate you leaving me a thumbs up. It would help the channel, would help me. And if you're not already subscribed, go hit that subscribe button. Because the more subscribers, the more people get to talk basketball in this group that we're creating. This is a conversation. So without further ado, I'll let you guys go. Stay warm, stay safe, watch some basketball, and do your thing, man. Chill. Do what you gotta do. Hit that grind. Catch you guys with the next one. Take it easy. Peace.